Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another movie review. So last week I did the review for 1997's sci-fi and action classic Starship Troopers. I consider it to be a classic. It is a favorite among a lot of sci-fi aficionados, and I consider it to be an absolute delight to watch. Unfortunately, they waited a long time to do sequels. So 2004 saw the first sequel from Starship Troopers, and it's called Starship Troopers 2 Hero of the Federation. Now, quality wise, the movie does suffer quite a bit. Budgetary wise, also, it suffers quite a bit. So, this movie was made, I think, direct to video, so direct to DVD, and it was made on a budget of 7 million. Compare that to the first movie, which was made on a budget of, let's see, 1997's. I consider Starship Troopers to be a classic. So that was made on a budget of 105 million. So I think waiting a while, too long for a sequel for something as promising as Starship Troopers is a death knell for the for the franchise as so it's kind of like limited to animation movies, which seem to be doing a lot better compared to the live action sequels. But I would have liked to have had a sequel done 2 or 3 years after the original movie, so around 2000, or maybe 1999 at least. They should have done it. So that would have made a lot of difference, I guess, and kept the name, because it isn't a huge name, but still it would have kept the name of Starship Troopers fresh in the minds of the general public as such. So this movie is directed by Phil Tippett and stars Richard Burgi, I think that's how you pronounce it, Lawrence Monsoon, and Colleen Podge, and you also have a couple of science fiction regulars like Brenda Strong, who is playing a different role from her role. She was a captain in the first movie, who dies in one of the attacks. In this movie, she's playing a different character. She's a sergeant over here named Dee Craig. You have Ed Lauter as General Jack Shepard. You have Kelly Carlson, who plays Private Charlie Soda. Sandrine Holt, who I've seen quite a lot of television shows and a couple of movies here and there as well. So this is about a planet which is inhabited by the arachnids, and the human soldiers from the attack. So General Jack Shepard decides he's going to take a last stand with 4 of his best soldiers, and he sends the rest of the team to go and find shelter and hope that they will survive. They can send a signal to rescuing ships that can come and take them away. They hold up in a what looks like they find something that's like a hotel that used to be. So this planet used to be inhabited initially by, I think, humans, and it's called Hotel Delta 185, which is an old abandoned structure. And they find that there is a captain named by name of VJ Dax, who is a disgraced soldier because he went against the chain of command. He disobeyed direct orders by his superiors, and so therefore he was imprisoned in. So he's the only survivor. He's the only one who's there. And then we find out that these arachnids have developed a new strain of insects which lays eggs inside people, and then it takes over their brain, and a whole lot of mush and stuff coming out. It's kind of funny. So like I mentioned, the budget being very less, the special effects aren't that great, but I think for a DVD, direct to DVD release, and even if you look at it as a it isn't a a TV film, but at the same time, if you look at both of those aspects, I think it's actually pretty good for that. This is actually the second time that I'm trying to watch this movie. The first time that I watched it, I actually stopped because the quality, I wasn't really happy with it. I was comparing it with the 1997 original, and then it took me such a long time, I think almost like 6 years, 7 years, more than that actually, to give it another attempt, and I kind of enjoyed it a little bit. So once they start infecting people, they start, the women, a couple of the women get infected. They start, there's a couple of couples in the movie, so during sex they, infect them, and the alien insects start taking over. people initially don't, the rest of the crew don't actually initially know what's happening. The captain Ed Lord is also affected when he is rescued, comes in later. Initially, they don't know what's happening, but all over. So it is. They decide that Dax is required because he's an excellent soldier and a warrior. So they release him, and he kind of almost semi takes over. And in the end, it's just him and this lieutenant played by an actress who looks very familiar to me. But when I checked, I don't really think I've actually seen her in anything else before. But she is pretty familiar. Her name is Colleen Potts. She plays Private Lee Sarah. She's hot. Okay, let me tell you that. Yeah, and so towards the end, like it's an all-out fight. So you don't really have to think, battle your brains too much. It's basically these aliens infect with the, they grab onto you inside and they infect you, take over your brain, and you start doing things against the rest of the humans. So they need to get out of the base of the planet. In the end, it's only Colleen's character, Lee Sahara. She's the only one who actually survives. Bergie is infected and he decides that he's going to sacrifice himself. He lets Sahara leave, and he basically destroys the entire complex, thereby killing all the arachnids who are inside that compound. Sahara gets saved, is rescued, and she goes off back to Earth. And then towards the end of the movie, the kind of like prologue at the end is basically a year later. She's actually pregnant. She was already pregnant, I think, during when she was there. So she is now discharged from the military, and she attends a recruiting seminar, and there's a scene that seems really odd, and the Dax is she basically goes and tells him what Dax did. So now he's branded as a hero of the Federation. However, they look at him as a symbol of recruitment. So, to get the same kind of glory, they try to attract as many new recruits as possible. And the recruiting officer looks at the baby, and Sahara's baby, and she looks and says, he thanks her for attending, and then he tells her, we need fresh meat for the grinder. That gives a complete look of horror on Sahara's face, and she leaves the recruiting station, shocked at the fact that her baby, not even old enough to lift his head, is already been looked at as a prospective, soldier. And that's the basic movie. So there's nothing much to really crack your head around in this. It's a little bit of a silly, fun kind of a movie. So like I mentioned, the first time that I tried to watch it, I was kind of disappointed. The second time, I gave it its deserved chance, and I think I did enjoy it a lot more. I can't really give it a high rating because it is mindless kind of fun almost, but I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. I'm not really sure if the only reason I would probably watch it is because when I feel nostalgic for Starship Troopers, I would want to watch the 3 movies together. And that is the only reason why I would want to watch it. So I don't really have it on DVD yet, but I have placed it in my basket in eBay. I've got a couple of good rates for it, so I'm going to get this movie and the third in this trilogy, and hopefully I can get the other animated movies as well. So I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. It's okay. So yeah, nothing great, but like I said, nostalgia factor of 1997's Starship Troopers will always make me want to rewatch this movie whenever I rewatch the original one. Right. So thank you very much, guys. I'll catch you on the next video. Thank you.